Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to decode something that is just deeply personal and, honestly, universally frustrating. We're talking about the science behind why our very own brains seem to constantly sabotage our absolute best intentions. We are finally going to figure out how to make change actually stick.
Okay, let's jump right in by confronting a pain point we all share. Why on earth do we constantly fail our habits? You know what I mean. There is this massive, agonizing gap between who we are right now, just sitting here watching this, and the ideal, super disciplined person we so desperately want to become.
We all know this list, right? The invisible, never-ending, what I should do list. Wake up at 5 a.m., quit junk food cold turkey, learn a new language, put down the phone and read classic novels instead of doom scrolling. We stare at this list, we inevitably fail to execute it perfectly, and then we just sit there feeling incredibly guilty. But what if I told you the problem isn't your character at all? Section 1. Why is change so hard? First things first, we have to stop blaming ourselves and look at how our attempts at change usually kick off. It's what we call the motivation honeymoon. Day 1, you've got massive excitement. You're pumped. By day 3, you're so committed, you go out and buy an entire wardrobe of expensive gym clothes. But then, day 7 hits and that adrenaline fades. And day 14, yep, you're right back on the sofa with a pizza. See, this initial burst is fueled by dopamine and adrenaline, totally tricking us into thinking these extreme, sudden changes are actually sustainable.
Section 2, the software update illusion.
Society feeds us this really toxic expectation that self-improvement is just an overnight fix. We kind of compare a human update to a machine update. We expect to hit a button before bed and wake up completely bug-free with zero resistance. But human brains, they view sudden change as a terrifying threat. Wiping out your current routines triggers a massive identity crisis, which causes your brain to aggressively cling to its old familiar habits just to feel safe. We also absolutely have to dismantle the illusion that motivation is this bottomless well. It's actually not. Take a look at the psychological concept of ego depletion. Basically, willpower is a finite, limited resource. It is literally exactly like a battery on your phone that slowly drains under cognitive load and everyday stress.
Let's walk through how this battery drains throughout a typical day. In the morning, you wake up, your battery's full, you've got the energy for good decisions. But by the afternoon, you're getting drained by traffic, work stress, and just the constant barrage of decision-making. So by the evening, when you finally have a minute to hit the gym or read that book, your battery is completely empty. And what happens at night? Your brain just flips on its default mode. It forces you right back to easy, familiar habits simply because it needs to save energy.
Section 3. The brain's alarm system. So when our willpower battery is totally dead, our neurological hardware actually starts fighting against us. Meet your amygdala. This is your brain's built-in alarm system. It's designed to detect threats and trigger survival mechanisms. So when you suddenly vow to work out intensely every single day out of nowhere, the amygdala hits the panic button and floods your body with cortisol. Why? Because it views this massive, sudden change as a direct threat to your safety. Here's the really crucial reality check. 10,000 years ago, saving energy literally meant survival, and needlessly burning calories meant you were in danger. Our modern brains are still running on that exact same ancient evolutionary hardware. So deciding to go to the gym and suddenly cut calories, that looks exactly like a famine to your amygdala. It's honestly just trying to keep you alive. Section 4. The poison of hustle culture. Once you understand our biology, it exposes a pretty harsh truth. Hustle culture is basically like a bad swimming coach standing safely on the shore, screaming at a drowning person that their mindset is just weak. These motivational gurus yell at you for lacking discipline, completely ignoring human biology and the incredibly heavy cognitive load you're already carrying every single day. And this creates a terrible, exhausting cycle called the toxic loop. Step 1, hustle culture creates immense guilt. Step 2, that guilt dramatically spikes your stress levels. And step 3, what does a stressed brain do? It forces you right back to your old habits for comfort. Listen, guilt is never, ever a long-term motivator. It only fuels the exact stress that drives you straight back to the very habits you're trying to quit. Section 5. The science of tiny steps. Okay, so how do we actually break free from this? We need a friction-free framework to rewire the brain without setting off the alarms. And the secret here is tiny steps. We're talking about actions so remarkably small that they fly completely under your brain's alarm radar. If you want to get fit, your first step isn't a grueling 2-hour workout. It's literally just putting on your gym shoes. Doing something that incredibly small completely prevents your amygdala from panicking. And doing this builds an incredible, totally sustainable loop by hacking your neuroplasticity. Step 1, you take that tiny action. Step 2, because it's so ridiculously easy, no amygdala alarm is triggered at all. Step 3, you actually accomplish the task. And boom, dopamine is released. Step 4, that neural pathway is solidified. This framework allows ambitious but totally overwhelmed people to completely bypass their own resistance and slowly, safely wire new, healthy connections.
We really need to clear up a massive misconception here about dopamine, too. The myth is that it's just some cheap pleasure chemical you get from scrolling social media. But the science shows it is actually a learning chemical. The tiny victory of doing, say, just one single push-up releases dopamine. That signals to the brain that this new action is safe, it's rewarding, and it should absolutely be repeated again tomorrow. It physically locks the new habit in.
Section 6, compassion towards oneself. As we pull all of this biology and psychology together, I really want to offer a profoundly empathetic shift in perspective for us. Your bad habits, they're not character flaws. They are just tired old coping mechanisms that were genuinely trying to protect you. I hope knowing this relieves some of that heavy guilt. Your brain wasn't sabotaging you out of malice. It was simply trying to keep you safe from the exhaustion and stress of the modern world, using the only evolutionary tools it had available. So I want to end with this powerful question for you to take away today. Next time you fail, and hey, because you are running on human hardware, you inevitably will occasionally, are you going to yell at yourself like a toxic hustle culture coach? Or will you embrace neuro-friendly science, practice some self-compassion, and simply give yourself a tiny step? The choice is entirely yours, but only one of them actually works. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.